Hello everybody, welcome to the latest Worlds of ZZT livestream. Tonight is going to be our second episode of our Joy of ZZT series. We're going to do some more work on our games together. If you were not here last week, that's perfectly okay. You can still jump in and start making some boards. You'll just be a little behind. Last time we did a very quick and dirty title screen just to put something on there. A also quick and dirty sort of hub board to start on. I'm going to recenter my player. That's F1 again for the items menu and Z for player. We put some ammo down, and we made a connecting board here, which in my case, since I'm going for a space game that takes place on Mars, is the Killer Robot Factory, in which there were killer robots and some Martians. Some things to shoot, some things to dodge, some crushers to not get crushed by, a lot of gems, and a purple key. Tonight, we're not going to do something actually as involved as this. We're going to be going for some quantity over quality. We're going to try and make some boards that are just along the way to these major boards, because you don't want every single board to just be your purple keyboards here. So, getting started, I'm going to stick with a board to the south. And like before, I want to sort of pay attention to where my actual board edge is here. So it's from coordinates 23, 25 through 37. So you can add a new board, B for the board menu, pick add a new board, and I don't know what to call this just yet, so I'm going to just call it X. I'll go back to the top here, my player here, there's a wall to mark that down, get my other coordinates. That was where the player was, right? Yes. Okay. So now these exits line up. We're going to attach the boards, go into the board info, pick an adjacent board, connect it to the hub. I'm going to do the star here to make it a reciprocal board link, so that way the hub board also is now linking to this one without having to swap over to it. So what are we doing here? Because it's not going to be quite as complex. See, I was using red solids and normals. Okay. So I'm going to get to those. So things to consider with these kind of boards is we're going to be traveling down or somewhere. We're going to keep traveling from this board to another connecting board, and presumably at some point we're going to have a purple keyboard or something, some kind of reward for exploring this path, and the player's going to turn around. If the player's going to be turning around, it's important to make it not boring to turn around. So there's a couple of different things you can do. We can structure things so that at first it seems like a straight path. Oop, I alt-tabbed. But we can do things so that when we come back, perhaps we come out from here. We can do something like this. So we're still going to do another sort of loop like we did with our Killer Robot Factory here. Other things you can do are just keep some content, so it's not just a plain walk back, or even make it a plain walk back and just use like transporters to make it a short walk back. So I'm going to go with a sort of a loop here. F3 for our terrains and some transporters, which we saw last week. Point them to the east by hitting enter to cycle through the preset directions. So we got something here. I want to make this board at least less bland than this, because this is honestly not a very pretty looking board. So one thing I had the idea for was actually do a lot of transports and sort of make that... Yeah, let me actually get rid of that. We're on Mars. We're going to be dealing with craters. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten rid of those top walls. Back to you. Back to you. Okay, so let's actually do it like this. There was a meteor shower. The road's been kind of knocked apart. Do some sort of shading here. Just filling around our inside here. I'm going to make this a pit. There we go. And we'll get ourselves a meteorites. That's what they're called when they land. Here. Let's still do some sort of shading here a bit. As usual, solid, normal, breakable water. Let's add a little more. There we go. Now a big old rock fell from space. You even go so far as to add in a little sort of markings into our rock here. Now this is where you kind of have to deal with ZZT's limitations. You're getting a solid background color, so it doesn't blend in as perfectly as you want. And it's up to you whether or not that looks good or not. So, okay. So, Martian road has been taken out by an asteroid. So we're instead going to have to use a bit of a detour. There's a sub button. I didn't put a sub button. I just had my mic off for like the past 2 minutes talking about these pipes I was making, didn't I? Anyway, line walls. There's these guys here. You can see how they connect. We're going to make some piping. There we go. You can re-add the now destroyed path down at the bottom here. Now what we do want is we have this sort of background going here. We do kind of want to keep that, but we need to indicate what you can walk on and what you can't. We could just use fake walls and kind of just flood this whole area here. You can hit F to flood fill an area, make sure it's closed off how you want it. And that'll work, but then we run into the issue of, well, what's stopping you from walking off to the left here or the right here, or, you know, trying to walk up, since, I mean, you can go up from this spot. So we want to consider something to make it clear what's walkable and what's not. So I'm going to get rid of these fakes, fill it with empties again. So the easiest thing to do is we can do something make it so the impact is actually even deeper than it looked. These are just normals, yeah, I'm not using fake walls. You can see my pattern buffer's on normal. This one here is the fake. You can hit Control T to double check. That one's a fake wall. These ones are normals. Fill these. Still a bit ugly, if you ask me. I don't like just having these giant patches of normal walls. To double check, you can hit Control T, and that'll show you what tile that your cursor is on, so you can see it says it's a normal wall. I think in the last video somebody was actually suggesting we do sort of a close off thing. We were going to mark off with black and yellow our dangerous conveyor belts. So I'm going to actually try and do something like that. I'm going to do it with objects. We'll make these slashes. We put both types in our little custom pattern buffer here. Line this up. Do a horizontal one as well. And this one can actually connect properly. There we go. They're very cautious on Mars. And now, to save on object space, instead of using objects, I'm going to just use text with F4 and do Control A, which will let me pick whatever character I want. Since as long as we're using white, if it doesn't have code, we can get away with just using some text. Put things in the pattern buffer and just use the number keys to jump around. So hopefully that looks a little more visually interesting, I think. Now another thing to consider is, I kind of just put this little scattered debris here. We're going to have to be navigating this as a keyboard. And since there's not any like action here, anything to put the player in danger, they're just traveling, we don't really want to impede that travel. So you want to think about how they're going to run through. And so it's good that I sort of have this drawn out with some breakables, this sort of gap here. They can just kind of cut right through and not have to wiggle their way through all this debris. There's a straight shot, basically. But also, there's that top left boulder. Yeah, actually, that's a good call. Let's get rid of that. Move it out here. There we go. So now there's a lot more clearer path. Also have this sort of alcove that's a bit unused. You can put more supplies here if we want. Maybe some more gems, since we were doing those last time. Clear out this pattern buffer. I don't need these things. There's no way to get to the bottom just yet, at least. Actually, here's an idea I like, just thinking of it now. So now this is a purple key room, but we're not getting the purple key from here. We're going to have to go around and eventually come up to this. The other one, so they go straight to... Oh, you mean... top left boulder. Ah, okay, I see what you mean. Do that. Yeah, and then it is a straight shot down. Do that. There we go. We got a purple key down here now, even though this isn't going to be a purple key board per se. So this means, you know, this gets their interest. They're going to go here, they're going to see a purple key, they're going to want a purple key. They don't know how to get the purple key. So they're going to obviously have to go around somehow, which is going to be through our little pipeline here. And eventually, we'll come around the other side, pop up from the bottom here. Another thing is they might want to actually check out the meteor. It might be prudent to do something like that. And this is a good time to bust out the Super Toolkit special colors here. So you can do some dark red fakes and some black on dark red. I don't know what we're doing with it just yet, but maybe eventually we'll put like an object here and you'll explore and check out something with this meteor. But for the time being, we've hopefully got a visually distinct board, and we can give them something to keep on looking forward to. And I don't like the yellow gems with the yellow signs, so I'm going to change the color there real quick. Make them stand out a bit more. So let's move on and make another board connecting to this. So now we're going to be in a 2. I'm going to put that in the buffer. Actually, let's rename this board. We'll open up the board info with I. You can just highlight the board title and hit enter and rename it. Say meteor. There we go. Actually, can we add boards from here? Yeah, So we can actually make our board connection as we add this next board, which again, I don't know what we're doing on it. So we'll make it blank, and we'll make it reciprocal. Then we're going to have a board to the left here. Cut across, hold Alt to jump really fast. There we go. So now we're in our tubes. And let's try, still not going to be something as involved as our Killer Robot Factory. But we're going to want, I want something here. I don't want this to be another sort of empty board. Now, see, I want this to sort of center out, so I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to shift some stuff south a little bit. Resize these pipes. One more tile. So now this is our bottom. There we go. Now we got a nice little choke point here. Top still latches, top still matches. Boards are connected. So let's see. The tube. The tube. So transporter maze, that's definitely one possible option. I actually had an idea for a different transporter maze section I wanted to do later, so I'm not going to do it here. But that's a pretty valid idea. What I'm thinking is do some centipedes in here. We'll make sort of a path. Actually, I'm going to move that over by one. So I can do this and make these line walls look nicely how they connect. So let's play around and see what we can do with centipedes. So with centipedes, they're ZZT's multi-tile long creature. They need a head, which is F2 and H for a head. And then you can attach segments, and colors don't need to match, so you can do whatever you like there. And ZZT will be reasonably smart and kind of sort it out that this is one centipede connected here. So they get intelligence, which is going to be how often they go after the player, and deviance, which is how often they're going to turn. So I'm going to put those both down to some really low values, and if I'm correct, it should basically just go in a big circle here. So I'm going to move my player over, and I'm going to just double check that. So we'll tab over to Zeta. We got the world loaded there. Hit P to play. Never mind. Load the world. Hit P to play. And see what happens. So yeah, we should be completely safe from the centipede if we don't go in there. It shouldn't. Yeah. Perfect. Go back to KevEdit. Make another heads and segments. Let's see, 3 tile gap. We'll do a big circle of these. Whoops. If this like works out and it's a perfectly, they have the same gaps between them all, I'll be very pleased. It is not going to work out like that because this is where the next one's supposed to start. Still, I can adjust things. I mean, that is also, yeah. So we can adjust their cycle. We can make them move as fast as the player and make this tougher. But it would also mean it goes by faster. So actually, we're going to do... I'm not going to do that. You can try it. I think as long as you have a decent gap between them, you can get away with them actually being cycle 1. If you are adjusting the speed of your centipedes, it is extremely important that their centipede segments, the body, is also the same cycle. What happens? I think it crashes, it might crash, or it might just like break apart horribly, which could be really funny. So let's see what that looks like. Centipede, that's cycle 1, body, that's cycle 2. What's gonna happen? We are going to learn something here. Oh, that's actually pretty funny. Ah, they got out. So it is okay. Obviously, it had some issues where depending on which side was the head, determined how fast it went. And that could be a gameplay mechanic in itself. But I'm gonna stick with regular old centipedes. It successfully ran really fast. There's something with centipedes that'll make them crash. I don't recall what when you mess around with things. So let's see. If I'm doing this, I really don't want the centipedes to get out, so I'm going to do a transporter here. One to the west, one to the east. Now if we just leave it like this, the way transporters work, you're going to go through this one, you're going to wind up in the middle, and you're going to just be stuck. So we're going to want to make sure that this tile is blocked. Actually, I'm going to stretch this out a little so I can demonstrate transporters a bit better. Cut this, move it a little farther apart. So the way transporters will work is if the next tile over is empty, that's where you're going to go. If that tile is blocked, then it's going to basically keep going and look and see if it's got a matching transporter on the other side. So this is all we need to get in. But if you try to leave, you'll wind up here and be stuck. So we want to at least do this, and I'm just going to fill the whole thing up. I'm going to make it look a little nicer. Another thing I'd like to do... Actually, you know what? We're in a tube. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to make this board dark. And we're also going to turn on re-enter when zapped, because I want the player to have to deal with these centipedes and not just tank them by running straight into them. Yeah, you can do some really weird stuff with centipedes if you look at these leader and follower settings, which is way beyond the scope of what we're doing here. We've got our transporter. I'm going to put a couple of torches here. No, actually, I do have re-enter when zapped, so you are going to be warped back to the beginning if you get hit. I'm going to go back to our crash site. I'm going to put a couple of torches out here. We'll use this F1 and T. ZZT will make them brown by default, and it's one of those things that's kind of locked into that color, so if we want different colored ones, again, we hit D to shut off default color mode, and then we can make them whatever color we like. I will make them... What color are Martian torches? They are cyan. Add those in. That's a good number of torches. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. We'll just make it a clean dozen. So 12 torches. Torches, how long do they last? Somebody asked this in the Discord fairly recently, and I am just going to look up the answer instead of retesting to find out. Well, I was wrong. We were talking about torches on Discord, but we did not talk about how long they last normally. But we can test it and just quickly get a rough idea. Actually, what board did I save on? Go. Speed things up. Moving my player over here. So we can pick up those supplies. Save it, and then go to Zeta. Let's see what happens. Ah, that's probably what I was thinking of. But yeah, here we go. Torches, 22 seconds sounds right. Let's see here. 33, 34, 35. Okay. So I'm using my OBS recording timer to find out. Well, that sucked. So it's 45. So yeah, that was just a little over 20 seconds. Jeez. Now I'm moving too fast. I'm making this too hard on myself. Oh, wait, did they? So there's a really small gap there now. I think that's because I got hit and that kind of desynced them a little. So I'm going to actually make this a little bit more generous. Go back to Kev Edit here. Just do take off the last segment for all of them. 2, 3, 4. Can I fit another one here now? We can have a little baby centipede there. I'm actually gonna move this up a little bit more. Oh, you can see doing this, since I had the player and my copy paste made a player clone. We do not want that. We must delete him with the delete key, because those guys are kind of a mess if you're not doing something specific with them. So I'm going to do differently here. Is actually do put a slider. So this way the player has to sort of stop. So that gives them a better chance to say, hey, there's centipedes on the other side of this transporter. So for debugging purposes, I'm going to put a couple more torches so I don't have to run back and forth between boards. Let's see what this looks like. So that's a lot better. You can see them. Wait for the gap. There we go. Now I got my timing down. And we're free to leave. So now, of course, comes the question of, well, what are we doing here? Yeah, let's see. Gonna make a couple of tubes. 1, 2, 3. Positioned that wrong. I'd like them to be symmetrical. It's not the most important thing in the world. I guess some more sort of centipede runs are going. Some transporters. we've kind of established that there's going to be centipedes, so I can be a little more varied exactly how this whole area goes. That's way too long doing something like that. Nobody wants to be stuck behind a centipede for an hour. Let's trim that, erase it. Do something more like this. There we go. That's a bit better. Doesn't have to be perfect, that's good enough. So we're gonna do something, we'll put some more centipedes, put heads and segments back in our buffer. Okay, there's a bit of a mix. Other things to consider. Oh, gotta remember to make my transporters work first. Other things is that, I don't know if anybody happened to notice, but when you're in a dark room, torches are visible, which is good, because you can kind of find out where you're going. So we'll put some official free torches here. Also make sure that the centipedes are blocked in case, yeah, actually this guy here. Yeah, this doesn't quite line up right. This top one won't work because they'll keep going out here. I'm gonna move this and fix it somehow. She's gonna be up, I think. Okay, that'll do. Keep things moving here. It's not very tube-like anymore, but you know what? It's also full of centipedes, so it wasn't a very good tube to begin with. So let's show off a little sort of ZZT trick here. We're going to use some weird KevEdit features for our dark room. This is out of bounds of the board, which is important. We're going to go pick light gray on light gray. We're going to go into the terrain menu, and the very bottom of the list is D for dead smiley. Yes, sort of draw an outline. Nope, not like that. And dead smileys are just players that don't have a stat, so they never get to do anything. But since ZZT sees that it's a player, it's going to get drawn in the dark. So we're going to sort of give ourselves an outline. And we'll actually do that with the transporters here too. So you still wouldn't want to play this board without a torch, but you won't be completely lost. This gives the player at least an idea of what they're going to have to deal with on this board. So we got our dead smileys here. Let's go back to Zeta, load it up and see what this looks like. Now look at that. Now you can kind of tell what's going on. And it's also kind of horrifying to think about, because they are dead players in the walls. Oop. So that's still kind of broke. And that's... Okay. That's what we need. We need to just make sure that the centipedes always have to move at these right angles. So that should be safe. We can fill this outer area. Actually, you know what? Let's say we're underneath the Martian soil now. So we can do some layering here. Also, I just realized they're never going to see the tube with the lights off, so that's not too important. Oh yeah, that also works. You can you don't have to use dead players. You can also just use torches of a matching color as well. Because anything that's drawn in the dark. There we go, that's much less horrifying to contemplate. Good call. Okay, Martian soil. So start off with our red surface. Not Alt-Tab. Good time for flood fills. Actually, we're going to go with red on dark red, so we're just going to do a simple fade here. So we'll make this have a background. Then we'll go fading into dark red. That's not bad. That lines up nicely. Although, it did kind of defeat the purpose of this room, since we don't have an exit. But you know what? We'll do a passage. That's what we'll do. So we're going to go back to having some keys and things. We'll have these areas where you have to break inside. So again, thinking back to the start, we use blue, green, and red keys on this board, which means a player could grab a blue key and bring it over to the tube, and that can potentially screw things up. So we're going to try and be a bit more consistent for the rest of the game with that, and our one-off keys, we're going to make them all just plain white. Conveniently, with all our talk about colors and doors, a white door is what we would want a white door to look like in the first place. Just do that. Okay. So now we got an actual board here. It's playable. If you want to speedrun the game, you can grab a white key and get hit by a centipede to be warped back to the beginning to play the board faster. Oh, I almost forgot actually one other important thing. I want this board to be about dodging centipedes, which means I don't want the player to shoot the centipedes. So if we go into our board information, we can adjust the maximum shots, set it to 0. Now, they're not going to know about this until they try to shoot. And if you walk in here and immediately begin trying to fire at an oncoming centipede, you're just going to get hit as you realize that you can't. So it's probably a good idea to indicate it in some way. If you can do it thematically, that's even better. I don't know, or don't fire lasers and pipes, there's gases that'll ignite or something. So let's do something like that. We'll make a new scroll here, F1 and S for scroll. That's weird. I have default color mode on, but it's not making them white. It doesn't matter. I think it'll just like adjust their animation cycle. You're not going to have a solid green scroll under normal circumstances at least, but they usually look like this. And actually, I forget if I showed off. Okay, yes, I did show off the white text last time. If you use a $sign, it'll be white and centered in gameplay. So you can do that again. Danger. Let's see. I don't want to call them centipedes because we're on Mars. Pipe infested with sandworms. Do not engage. Let me just do that. Impervious to laser fire. Beautiful. Probably not actually, but you know what? Now the player won't shoot because they can't shoot. These are invincible, unstoppable sandworms which have taken over a pipe after a meteorite crashed. So now they also know a bit what to look out for. I'm going to get rid of these debug torches. I'm going to try play this proper. Go back here. We'll see what this looks like. Yeah, no undo kind of stinks when you point it out. There we go. I wonder if how it's like structured might make that a pain. I don't know. It's old code that was like originally written by him when he was a teenager. I don't know why I went in this circle when I don't have a key. This is working out. I think this is pretty reasonably challenging. And it's not too slow paced. Gotta remember to turn my key in. You know, I was just thinking that, Ravenworks, that yeah, they're not gonna know about the white doors, and so they might think that, well, they picked up a white key from this one, they might go into this one, and then realize they can't pick up this white key because they already have one. So we're going to adjust that a bit. it is kind of scary if you're actually paying attention to the centipedes and not your torch time. But I think we got something nice and workable here. And that's how you escape. Close that out. Back to Kev Edit. I think we're doing good here. Actually, yeah, it would look nicer from the west too. Let's do that. West does make it a little easier technically, but I'm okay with that. Hard to see the dark blue on black segments. Yeah, you gotta watch your colors too. I'm trying to make things... I'm considering contrast throughout this, which is why... Like, actually, I don't want these gems to be green. Again, because I'm using green for a bad thing here. So I'll just make those ones all blue. There we go. Okay. I kind of want to fill this in as well. Alright. Do a couple more gems. Reward. Okay. So now the great thing about passages is we can just go wherever the heck we want. So regular ZZT, it's going to be forcing passage color a bit. It's always going to be white on a dark colored background, as you can see through here. It's one of those things you can mess around with if you shut off default colors, depending on whatever you want to go for. Passages are also going to be visible in the dark, so the player will know that, hey, there is a passage here. So let's do a red passage. Did I link my boards? Yeah, I did them. Okay, so the boards are linked, the shots are 0, the sandworms are all over the place. We got a passage. If you don't set a destination, it's going to take you to the title screen. Obviously not very helpful. So we're going to go here. I don't know where this is. But, I mean, our map so far has been sort of structured. It all connects. So this can take us wherever the heck we want, to whatever we want, or we've got no ties. So let's see. Where to? Make that passage a different color also. So you got a new board. We could still be underground if we want to be. We could go back to the surface. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to the surface. We'll do a couple things here. First and foremost, with passages, the colors need to match if you want them to sort of work perfectly, as it were. If we have a purple passage here, and say green passage here, what'll happen is the player will spawn, we'll go through this passage here. Now the player will spawn here, because there's no matching passage. She'll just put the player wherever the player is on the board. If we make the passage match, then the player will spawn on top of the passage, which is what I want. And since I'm making this them climbing out of the underground, I'm going to make it gray. So that goes back to the tube passage. It's going to be gray. Go to here. So we can test this. And now we're on this beautiful empty canvas. Let's move the passage. We'll start in a corner. I know exactly what we're gonna do. This is a ZZT game. So we're gonna change this board name. Martian Park. Get some yellow here. And we are going to make our ZZT bathroom here. Because you gotta have a bathroom in a ZZT game. There's gotta be a toilet. It's kind of like a legal requirement. So we'll pop up from the sewers, and we'll be in the park. We can make some more creative looking shapes, not as rigid as the hub board was. We can actually, let's make this lead to our key. So do connect our edge here, line up here. There we are. And we did some trees early on, so I'm going to grab those colors again. Too tiny. That's okay. You can add a little shading. There we go. Now that's a Martian tree. Copy and paste a couple of those around. And now, thinking about how this board is sort of structured, you don't want to put anything that the player is going to have to go back for, because right now they have to go through this. And I mean, it's going to be a lot faster when they don't have to pick up keys, but it's kind of going against this whole annoying backtracking thing that I don't want to do. God, I almost said let's spruce this up a little more. It's a really bad unintentional pun. Okay. So we got... Let's see, I use yellow ammo. That doesn't need to match. We can use whatever color we want. Use some green ammo. Add a little river. That's not bad. Gotta move this tree. Just want to move this. There we go. And move this one up so we get a nice clear path to our bridge. We'll get ourselves some brown fake walls. We really want to be fancy. Get brown on dark blue here. Place an object. I just realized I'm kind of like flying through these menus here without saying what I'm doing. I apologize for that. Go down here to where our half block characters are. And there we go. Now we got a bridge. I'm already regretting the shading because I'm giving ammo and I'm intending the player to shoot. And so right now, the bottoms of all these trees is made of water. This here is breakable and this is breakable, and that's just going to be a lot of trees falling apart. We could just use objects because we don't have a ton. But I'm just gonna sort of change my shading. Actually, this doesn't look half bad like this, and then I just gotta change those breakables. This is an eco-friendly game. There will be no wanton destruction of the trees. Let's see. That or that. We can do. I haven't done any grass. Grass on Mars, plants have been determined to be purple, so we'll get some purple going. Let's do dark purple. How does this look? Let's actually flood fill and see. No, not horrible. It blends in a bit too much with the trees. Let's try red and purple. Again, do a fake wall. That's going to probably look worse. Actually, that's not too bad. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'll do some tweaking in a moment. Section off this area. And let's see. There we go. Give our trees some shadows. Okay, actually I got a good idea here. Let's go back to our meteor board. We will put the purple key. No, I like having the purple key here. I was gonna put it in the meteor, and I like that idea, but I also like that you see this purple key and you know immediately that there's gonna be a purple key. Shadows are indeed fake walls. I mean, depending on how your board is arranged, it is possible to make them not fake walls and for that to be fine, but this way the player can indeed just run straight across this bridge if they want. Let's see, what else do we want here? What is in our park? How many steps can you have in a gradient? Do you mean with like the, let me add a new board, with the sort of fill tool, or not the fill tool, the built-in tool? Are you talking this thing? That should use your pattern buffer, whichever section you have highlighted. So if you do it like this, I'm so used to having it locked. Hang on. Let me just populate it by hand. And then use, less than and greater than to adjust the size. You should be able to do this, I believe. So yeah, it should let you use whatever's in whatever half of the buffer you have highlighted. So this part of the custom, and this being just the default ZZT one. Yeah, erase that mess. Oh, we're actually going to use Z to clear the board. Actually, I should point off too that also erases the title, but also if you hit backspace, you can just straight up delete a board. And as Ravenworks has been pointing out, Kevet does not have any undo, so be very careful if you're going to delete a board that you are deleting the right board. So let's see. I think half the challenge of this series is figuring out what to do without doing objects. Because I want to do objects later, but not just yet still. So let's go with... what's going to be in this park? I mean, we can always just slap down some more ruffians and deal with that. That also runs the issue, though, if you shoot one, he's going to... or no, that's right, they'll keep track of what's underneath, right? Yeah, that should be fine, actually. Yep, we're good. So you can also see there that the ruffians, once they start moving, they'll take on the background color of the fake wall they're standing on top of. That's just a ZZT thing. So note that you're going to have a background color if you do that. And you can also just straight up start with the background color if you just pick that color to begin with. I mean, I made my ruffians, aliens in green. They had dark purple. So show off the default colors. Do that. Put down a few of these guys. It's still going to be a pretty chill board overall, and you're definitely able to kind of just run away from them. But it's something. Let me arrange this a little, clear out my buffer. Yeah, this looks so much nicer than this. It's just a matter of how much time and effort you want to put into your graphics, because there's nothing wrong with this or this, but you can see just like the tiniest bit of shading, I think, can go a long way. I think I got something half decent here, other than the deliberately yellow bordered bathroom, which, mind you, also needs a bathroom sink and mirror. Again, with our half characters. So right now the toilet is made out of text. I promise you we will go back and let the player flush the toilet later on. But for now, actually let's move the ammo out here. Oh, actually here, picking up the ammo, since ammo doesn't have a stat, it doesn't pay attention to what's beneath it. So putting it outside here is just going to leave a big empty tile when the player picks it up. So I'm going to go with the original setup here and put the ammo just in the bathroom. And later on we'll also add a bathroom door. It's another critical feature. Alright, let's see how this plays, just real quick. I didn't touch the ruffian stats whatsoever. Let's actually crank them up a little bit. Highly intelligent, low rest time, because we only got a couple of them. So I'm going to make these some dangerous ruffians. There we go. How's that? Well, other than this part here, which looks like a mess. The water looks good. Let's try... This is where my ZZT graphics kind of fall apart. What if I do this? And try doing another half block, maybe? Not quite, but shut off my default colors so I recolor this object with what I have selected. Maybe that is okay, I guess. It'll do. I'm not gonna spend too long on that. Let's see what this board actually plays like. That's the important part here. Oh yeah, look at that. They're actually crossing the bridge. And I did forget if I was going to change all those. There we go. I don't think I connected this board to the meteorite one yet. Nope. So that's going to be the end there. Then the player can be pleasantly surprised that they wound up here and got a purple key out of it. There we go. So yeah, that's a good call. We've got 2 purple keys and no purple doors, which are kind of important. And another thing I'd like to do is make a better way back. Because way back when I started the sport, I was thinking of having like an alternate path that sort of loops around. Could. Yeah, that's another thing. We definitely need to figure out what our purple doors are leading to. Let's see. What can we do with this? Or alternatively, we can go here. And the connection out of here, maybe? No. I think we're better off going this way. Then you pick up the purple key. Then something. Because I don't want to make them backtrack. That's a lot. That's a long walk with little to do. Even if it means returning to the prettiest board so far. Actually, you know what? I know I was... That doesn't honestly look all that much better. What if I do make Mars a dark red? Eh. No, I'm gonna keep it light. Oops, that caught this part up here. So I want a better return. I'm gonna go back to that later. I'm gonna go back to our title screen where I put our emergency notes. Say park/meteorite. Use a better way back. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the hub. We're gonna figure out what our final destination is here. This game doesn't really have a storyline to it yet. You don't have to have anything really. Towns is just get the purple keys and go to the palace. Cannibal Islands is get the ruby keys and leave the island. But I think it does help to have something. So I'm going to make my exit to the north so it can be like a grand something that you get to see. So let me line up my tiles here. The top part. This one here. Player there. So, random ideas I've been tossing in my head while bored at work and, you know, thinking of ZZT as one does. Other ideas I have are like observatory. We're on Mars, so in my case I can do like Olympus Mons as a thing. There could be something with like a space probe that landed. There could be a crashed spaceship. I mean, the obvious thing is leave Mars. That's a pretty. That's how Mars tends to work. Usually, people don't want to stick around. But I don't really want to do a leave the planet thing. I'd like to do something a little better, a little more involved at least, not necessarily better. Town of ZZT does a palace. There's palaces. There's castles. There's pubs. Could terraform it. This game's already a lot of killing Martians, which is sad. There's also the question of do we want these to be purple keys in the first place? That was a placeholder to begin with, because I mean we could make them objects that set flags and you pick up like parts for your spaceship or something. I was gonna say something about water, but I just made a river here. So I guess water's not too hard to come by on Mars. I don't know. Just let's go with an observatory. Let's see how bad I am at drawing circles. Let's see. That might not be awful if I make this a little smoother and longer. Let's try. And again, I'm going to be using white as one of the colors, so I don't need an object. I can just use special text characters. Oops, I actually don't want it to be white text, I want it to be cyan text. Let's try. And we can smooth this out with some half blocks, and those are gonna have to be objects. I don't like how this looks whatsoever. That was the wrong button. That looks weird, but it's not what I want either. No, I'm not feeling observatory. No, no, I should have thought of this in advance. About. Yeah, I wasn't looking very observatory. What if we try and do a big UFO? Okay, this is also beyond my graphical abilities, but I gotta cop out. You can do a big old tractor beam. Let's see. Mess around with some colors here. I'll make this dark green to begin with. still don't like this. It's probably a mix of all of that. But also because I'm trying to draw something that's not just a rectangle. So I'm like, oh no, this is very difficult to do in ZZT. Kind of just drawing ideas at a wall here now. Kind of just thinking like weird space contraption. Pyramid is good. You can do a pyramid as built of rectangles. So actually, I'm going to shut off shots because I'm going to use some breakables in water for sure here. That's a bit of a tiny one, but let's make that bigger. Let's break out the shading. That bright red to dark red fade. There we go. Let's get our purple going. Bright purple on dark purple. Shut off the default colors and make some purple doors. Look at that, there's even 5 if that's what we're going for. I don't know how many purple doors we're going to have. Obviously as many as we have purple keys, but that's yet to be determined. I'm going to adjust my axis just a little bit. Make this consistent. Back to the hub, slide this over 1. Alright, I don't know what we're doing with this pyramid, but we got a pyramid. That's not the right color. Alright, there's something on top of the pyramid. Who knows what it could be. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually block off the player from this back area. You could do that with just plain old invisible walls here, but obviously then they'll touch them and they'll appear. Much cheaper solution. Well, for one thing, we actually have black as a color, so you can just make black walls. Uh, Common solution for earlier ZZT games is to use white text and just hit the spacebar, because that's going to be a solid and invisible wall. One trick that you can kind of do with KevEdit is if you go over to this forbidden blinking half and you pick this black on dark gray, since KevEdit doesn't show things blinking, it shows the background color. You can do this, and so now it's visible in the editor, but if you play it in ZZT, it's just going to be blinking between black and black, so it'll be an invisible wall there. But this way you can get a better idea of what's actually blocked off. Of course, that does mean that if somebody, for whatever reason, plays your game with blinking disabled, or if your game is intended to be played with blinking disabled, that's not an option, because then it will appear. And actually, let's not do the top half like that at all. Clear up some big chunks. Let's see, what's the Martian sky look like? So we could do something kind of like the shading here. Actually, this might be a good time for the KevEdit's gradient tool. So let's try, see what colors do we need. I'm going to clear out this pattern buffer. I'm going to put down some colors. Purples. And dark reds also. Let's see, what colors do I want here? I don't have any actual dark purple. So this looks a little too bright here. Let's try, see what we get when we mix these colors a bit. So I'm actually going to do, so I'm going to switch to an empty board for fade test. And let's see, this is where my cutoff is. We'll mess around with it here, and then when we're ready we can copy and paste it and kind of work around the pyramid a bit. Now that fade tool with F, whoop, wrong button. That gradient tool with G does have a flood select, so we can have it be smart and just work all around this pyramid, but I want to see what kind of results we can get first before I do that, because it'll be a bit more of a pain to erase a big mess of all these colors. Let's see, G here, that's not quite what flood means. Oh, also, if you're doing this, you want to adjust your buffer so that doesn't have any empty tiles. So let's try this again. G for here, and then to the bottom right. I forgot to enter the first time, so we'll do bottom right to top left. That works fine too. Mess around. Yeah, that could be good. Ooh, I do like that. I like that a lot, actually. Now, see, Ravenworks is learning more about how the gradient tool works than I am. You use tab to switch back and forth. So let's just see. Ah, okay. Yeah, that is a lot faster. That's pretty decent, actually. I'm gonna move the player here, since we did that in halves. Let's try seeing what we get with randomness. How'd I have that? Oh, that's right, I did start from the other corner. Ah, man. So it is. So this bottom half, I think I was saying, would be good if I was using like the entire board, and then I would have this entire top half just be plain dark purple. I think that would look okay. But since we're already using a big chunk of the board, I'm gonna just stick with this. So let's see. So I don't need this anymore. Easiest thing to do, grab this chunk here, make yet another board, paste it, and we'll do this. That'll be a lot easier than working around the pyramid. Let's see what this actually looks like. So now here we can hold shift and let go of shift. Now I'm just moving around the arrows again, and again, holding shift now and moving to grab more stuff. Get the whole pyramid. And I grabbed one too many. There we go. Not bad. That actually lines up pretty good. I like this. I'm pretty happy with that. Do I want... I'm going to make a safety save here. Whenever you're doing artboards, by all means, save a lot, make different files, copy things into different boards to mess around. Because one thing I'm like would really, really love to see in a ZZT editing tool is layering. I would absolutely love to have something where you have a board here for the backgrounds, a board here for the pyramid, and then something that lets you say, okay, layer these boards together, and empty spaces are like non-existent, transparent. But there's nothing like that. So you kind of gotta like finagle your way around. But that didn't take too long to make, so let's see. Yeah, that's another thing. These purple doors do look kind of odd. We can fix that. We can just move them down here. It's going to be a bit difficult to cram 5 purple doors. Yeah, that's another thing too. Let's decorate this pyramid up a bit. This is Mars. There's got to be some weird Martian symbols. Like... This is another area where we get to deal with ZZT's lack of transparency. Something like this. Now this one here we can do some different colors. Okay, these guys you can barely see. I want that subdued. More weird alien language. Fortunately, ASCII is full of weird characters. If you want to make them weird, like, you know, that British pound. Who knows what that means? Actually, I kind of like the fact that I mostly picked characters that have symmetrical ones. Those other double arrows. Unfortunately, there's no backwards Great British Pound. Do a bracket instead, or brace. this part here I think is a little much. Wrong color. Oh, wrong color mode. Now let's actually flip these two around. There we go. I think that'll do. So now we definitely know where we want to go. There is still one issue, which is the player has no idea that that's where they have to take the purple keys. Starting on this board, there is nothing saying, hey, go up to get rid of your keys. We need some kind of indication. So I'm just gonna... Well, no, I want them to see the pyramid. I was thinking of just putting the first door here. But I want them to go to this pyramid. And be like, oh boy, a pyramid. There could be scrolls, we could do sign objects, we could just literally use text and be like, hey, purple keys this way. Purple doors. Like, that conveys the message. Well, I mean, a funnel up is still good, but there's nothing indicating that that's necessarily the place for the purple keys, because what's going to happen is you go do the robot factory, you're like, okay, you got a purple key, now what? There's nothing to make you think that it won't be this way or down to the bottom. So I do think I want something a little different than that. I want something more explicit. I mean, all of this could be solved very easily by just having like a signpost or something. Or actually, now hear me out. Well, if you start on this board, so then instead, once I hit the right button, now you know immediately. This is where the purple doors are. Oh, it helps to link your boards up though. Let's not forget to do that. To the south is the hub. Make that both ways. Try that again. There we go. Now it's a bit more obvious. Now, we're not at the point yet, but if we really want to be clever about it, we've kind of got these symbols on each level of this pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one for each door. We can sort of make these symbols hint at what you do to get these keys. Like, we've got our killer robots down here. We can have something to indicate that, oh, you gotta go past, or through the tubes and face off with the sandworms, actually. If I do something like this. So that way, we can sort of mark off each challenge, in a way. Which I think might be a nice touch. Whoops. Well, you can almost see, but if we shift our characters around. So here's the killer robots. Here's our sandworms. I guess at some point we'll fight more aliens. And then we got these two, which are just completely blank. So that'll give me something, some vague hint, because the player might actually, if you're lucky, make that connection. Won't really give them much to go by, because... Well, actually, we can kind of run a theme with our just classic ZZT enemies here. We've got a lions one, got a centipede one, got a ruffian one eventually, maybe. We'll see. But I think for the time being, we're gonna call this a night. Anybody has any questions, anything they want to bring up, anything they want to double check or have confirmed or whatever else, now's a good time to bring that up. If not, we'll wrap stuff up and call it a day. So yeah, I did decide to go with the temple as the starting point. That might change depending on how things go. I mean, I think next week we're gonna just have to start learning objects, but we'll see. Oh no, where'd you save your whipboard? So, another thing I like to do is keep a separate folder for ZZT projects to make it more difficult for things to get lost in. Keep things organized. But I don't know, sort your ZZT files by date. Most of them are probably not going to be from the year 2020. That's a good way to find it. But I guess that's all for this week then. We'll be back again in a week, and I think we're going to just have to start learning how to make an object, because we're getting to that point. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to make another tweet like I did last week. Actually, I'm going to do it now before the stream is even over. Let's see. Post screenshots. Your boards here. Show you ZZT boards here. I would super appreciate if anybody who's been working on boards and going along with this at all would post some screenshots and let people see what you're doing. Something to share with others. So thank you all for watching. We'll be back again next week. And I hope you've been enjoying making games so far. It's been fun. I'll see you next week.